What up, folks? This is your man, Sham Phoenix, and you're tuned into the Stitch Sham Show. Again, I'm one half of the team, the other half of the team.
Stitch Early.
And we are here today for our Stitch and Sham on the go. Stitch and Sham to go. This is the carry-out version of Stitch and Sham. Like we said, we told y'all guys, we got a lot of things kind of popping off. We've both been thrown back into the workforce. And we still want to make sure that we bringing you guys great content, talking about some of the current events and keeping things, relevant and fresh. As you know, this weekend we were entertained from the boxing world.
Very
Mike
much
Tyson and Roy Jones.
Yeah.
And then the undercard of Jake Paul and Nate Robinson. There really wasn't much to talk about in the major card. Like, basically, Roy Jones was like, I'm going to survive this fight.
Yeah, like, when I say Mike Tyson like looked like visibly angry that Roy kept grabbing him. Like, because he's like, man, I'm trying to box for real, and you keep grabbing me. Like, I want to hit you. He's like, I want to hit you.
It's so crazy because, like, Mike Tyson is the only person that I know that I don't know if there's not a person that doesn't fear him.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, so where like even if you're not necessarily scared, there is a fear.
There's a caution.
There's a fear and a caution of, even on the Joe Rogan podcast, Chappelle was on, and Ashley Larry, Donnell Rollins.
Donnell Rollins, yeah.
And he was saying on his podcast, he was like, yeah, I remember when Mike was here before the fight stuff all came about, we had a table, and the table, he was a little further away from me, and I was going to make the table space between me and guests a little smaller, but I ended up keeping it the same. And he was like, the second time he came, when he was in like boxing mode, he was like, we were literally in the studio, and I was visibly like cautious and nervous because he just had a different type of energy with him when he was in boxing mode than when he normally be in Zen mode.
Yeah.
It's different.
Let me tell you something. I would want to be in a room with him.
Nah. And especially
not by myself.
Especially not in a ring. Like Roy, after the fight, Roy was standing like this because I know his ribs was probably and he said in that joint, he was like, they were like, would you want to do the fight again? And he's like, getting in the ring with this man, like when he hits you, every punch hurts. And he's like, it hurt. And then Mike Tyson was like, but you took it. You
did a good job.
And I respect that. Like,
that
nobody,
no, Mike. No, my ribs are probably broken. No, Mike.
But the crazy thing is, like, you remember we would sit and watch like the Mike Tyson highlights with the kids.
Yeah.
If you notice, after every time Mike Tyson knocked somebody out, he would always go over and like try to help them up and like give them a hug.
Don't touch me, Mike.
Don't touch me after
I'm bleeding internally right now. Keep your hands away. You're the reason.
Crazy.
You're the reason I'm bleeding internally.
You're the reason I'm hurt right now.
Yeah. I think, like I said, the major card was not. It was nice to see him, and like those guys still got some.
Yeah.
Of that boxers.
Yep. They
technical
still got some
ability.
Yep.
Especially Mike. Mike was still moving pretty.
Oh yeah, Mike. Even body wise.
Well, he's still at his playing weight. He got back down to his actual fight weight.
Because I think he lost 100 pounds. Like, I was like, yo,
he was down to like 220. I was like, and that's the crazier thing, right? Like, Mike was like 220 in like throughout the late 80s, early 90s. Like, and he's knocking dudes out that are like 250, 260.
Yeah, that joint.
With no problem.
I wouldn't. Hey, Mike, you got it. Like, that's Mike.
I'm 260 right now. Mike hit me, it's over.
It's a wrap. Yeah, exactly. And he was
hitting court.
He was fighting dude that was my size.
Nah,
I'm good. I don't want no problem.
Yeah. And then we straight out here in these streets.
Yeah, we good.
But the major part of this night was even more than Nate Robinson and Jake Paul was Snoop Dogg's commentary.
Facts.
Let me tell you, Snoop Dogg made that $50 worth it.
Yeah, like if you paid $50 for it, which I didn't, but if you paid $50 for it, listening to Snoop like the whole night was
hilarious.
Because it was honestly like you felt like he was at the crib with you,
just sitting beside you, talking,
just sitting beside you, like just talking to the TV. That's what it felt like. It felt just like Snoop sitting beside you, talking to the TV, saying stuff you probably thinking in your mind.
Like when he was like, somebody go get grandma and tell them that our uncles are fighting out in the yard. Boy, I was like, and because for a minute it did look like that because Roy Jones and them, they was hugging. So it looked like that. Look, I'm not trying to fight you, but I am trying to fight you.
That's how Roy Jones looked the whole time. He looked like, hey, I want to fight you, but I really don't. Like, I know they paying us for this joint. So, and then you could even see it after the rounds. Roy Jones was like looking for the chair. Like, where is this chair at so I can sit there? Mike would go to his corner and stand up for a little bit, shake it off. Then he would sit down.
Now, Mike was breathing heavy, though, a little bit.
Nah, yeah, but I'm saying like with Roy, it was like a...
Oh, yeah, it's exhaustion.
Where the bell at? Is the bell ringing yet?
It was definitely exhaustion with Roy Jones. It was tired with Mike.
Yeah, it was like Mike was like, I'm tired. With Roy, it was like, and I know at one point they was complaining that he wanted the 3-minute rounds. I know afterwards, I know he was like, I'm glad we kept these rounds to 2 minutes.
Yeah. But also outside of that, right? So I was thankful to see those two, and it was good. And I think on a scale of just like technical skill or what they exhibited when they were in their primes, you can still see some of that, but it wasn't extreme.
It's not to the level as it once was, but you could still, like you said, see the technique and everything like that is still there.
Yeah. Poor Nate Robinson gets knocked down 2 times technically and knocked out once, right? Yeah, that's how it really kind of works.
That's what, yeah.
But this is the caveat to this, and I've seen all the memes, I watched all the videos, I've seen the Mattress Warehouse ad, I've seen the "Do you want to see a dead body?"
Hey, the funniest joint was the TD Jakes joint. When they had TD Jakes, the TD Jakes was like, "Wake up! Wake up!"
He's just laying at the altar.
They got
Nate Robinson laying at the altar.
Yo,
then I seen all the Nate Robinson challenges where people walked up and just fell on the ground face first.
Escalators, just going up escalators.
Oh man, it's not like Nate is going to have to ride out 2020.
Yeah, and probably some of 2021 because I don't think it's only bad when you call a person out.
Yeah. So
Nate called Jake Paul out.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that personally. No.
So Nate called Jake Paul out and was like, because Jake Paul had a fight. I want to say it was in London, and it was against another blogger.
Okay.
I think that might have been his first fight. So he's fought a couple times, and I think Nate.
That's the thing I was going to get to next, but continue.
Okay, yeah, and I think Nate was like, "Yo, fight somebody who know what they doing. Like, fight somebody. Hey, Nate, you should have challenged him to a dunk contest,
or you should have trained a little longer because it didn't look like Nate trained at all. Nate looked like he was fighting at the playground at school.
Nate looked like a bull that was seeing the red in the ring. He just it was like duck my head and run towards. Like
that's how you get knocked out.
That's how you get knocked out. Yeah.
But this is the thing. Jake Paul is actually boxing training. He is, I would say, considerably for the last 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Like actually training.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people are like, oh, Nate just got knocked out. If you're not technical, that ring, don't let it fool you. Don't just think because you can fight, because some people are grapplers or brawlers where I'm going to get a hold of you, I'm going to slam you. Then, like that's a whole different type of fighting. Then you want to do MMA.
It's the reason why it was hard for Conor McGregor to think like, oh, I'm gonna just come in, I'm gonna just Floyd. I'm gonna go ahead and take. It's like, yo, but he boxed for real. Like you can't use your feet. You're not using elbows. You're not using. Like there's technique.
It's all in hands,
there's
brother.
not technique in UFC, but UFC is almost, hey, I can use everything in my repertoire.
Yeah, it's no holds bar kind of.
Yeah.
Boxing is a technical skill of moving the feet and using your hands and protecting yourself. And it just didn't look like Nate knew how to do any of those things. He didn't look like he knew how to use his feet.
It didn't help that he had the braids, because when he got hit,
and that's the thing, like that's why I say, like, if, like, for instance, I would never walk into a ring with any professional fighter, even if they just fought once.
Even if it's an amateur fighter that has been training. Because you got to think, at one point, Mike Tyson was an amateur boxer.
Yes.
Like, and was doing damage.
And Customato had that dude sharp, you know?
Yeah, so if anybody who's been being trained to box is going to be different than somebody that's just like, yo, but I just know how to fight. There's a difference. It is a difference. Yeah.
Not the same.
That joint, I think, Nate, I think he underestimated.
Yep.
And probably thought, because sometimes when they say, oh, well, I'm athletic, so I can easily move into jumping and dunking a ball is different.
I'm going to tell you what this was. This was not saying that he is, but this was a miscalculation of racism. It was a miscalculation. I've seen it happen. I've watched it in basketball. I've watched it in football, where you walk onto a field and you see a white boy ahead of you,
or you see, like, and it's always
I'm about to eat.
It's white boy and it's female, or woman. You know what I'm saying? Yep. It's those two. Like in most sports, if you're playing, I've played basketball, and then you see a woman walk on the court, and it's like, no, I don't want to guard her. You see, I've seen dudes do it. I've seen dudes be like, man, I don't want to guard her, and then she eat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I agree with that 100%. He was like, man, this white boy ain't about to come.
Yep.
He ain't about to come beat me. I'm Nate Robinson. Yeah.
And I only say that because I watched several videos of other NBA players, and that energy that's a real energy. I remember there's this kid that used to live here in Frederick. He went to Linganore, and he played at West Virginia. He went to the league, Joe Alexander.
Okay, yeah.
And I used to go up to the YMCA, and I used to watch black dudes, walk into the YMCA gym, see Joe. He like 6'6", but at the time he was like, when he warming up, his angles ain't always right. But when he got in that game,
he turned into Tebow in the game.
Oh, he turned into T-Mac. Do you hear me? When he got in that game, Joe was in that jump, dunking on people, shooting J's in people's faces. And that preconceived notion of what you thought you was going to do to him left really, really fast.
Yeah, nah, for sure.
I walked into AAU gyms where you'd be like, oh, man, we about to play these dudes. And they'd be like, no, what we getting ready to do is give you these fundamentals, and you're going to lose by 30.
1,000%. I've been a part of teams like that.
Yeah.
Seen it firsthand.
That's what I felt like.
The crazy thing is, it's like, it's crazy that I don't know. It's just embedded, just in, there are stereotypes that I think you just naturally grow with. They just happen.
Yeah.
From the standpoint of, like, most people, if they went to a basketball court, like, I could be some trash at basketball, but they see, yo, he's 6'5", 260. He must be able to, and he's black, so he must be able to play basketball. Be able to play. He has to be able to. And it's like
you, yes.
But there's not every 6'5" black dude. Just like, I've been to pickup joints. I remember going out to Deer Crossing, and I remember getting picked up on a team. I'm on a team with these 4 white dudes. I don't know any of them. I've never met them before. Yeah. Get on the court. I'm like, I don't care who I play with. It's like, it's whatever. Let's get this dub. I remember looking at the other team, and you could see the other team like,
we about to eat.
They got Zoe, but we about to eat. Like, because
and then it was like, no, you're not eating today.
We ain't lose a game. Like, we didn't lose a game that night because these dudes played together, and they all knew that we know our spots. We know how we play. We know what we're good at. We know what we're not good at. Let's play our roles, and we ran everybody in the gym that day.
Yeah.
And judging
and
that
you can
Whiplash
see it because
cover
Jake Paul was sturdy. Like he knew where he wanted to be, how he wanted to be. Nate looked like he was fighting. You know, like when you you don't have a deal. Like for me, like me and my brother would fight, right?
Yeah.
And I'm confident, I'm stern in what I believe.
Yeah.
And he's kind of apprehensive. So he's like running in with this apprehensive, like, I know we fighting,
like,
but I know you dangerous.
Yeah.
And I think a little bit after the first hit, Nate knew. He was like, okay, Jake Paul
this is different. Well, the crazy thing is, I think they said Jake Paul threw 21 punches and only landed 8. And of those 8 punches, 3 of them joints was knockdowns.
Yeah. He found out real quick. He was like, Jake Paul is real in this situation because they got this meme where he's falling to the floor, and you know, like in the movies where they be like, you probably wonder how I got.
It was at the beginning, like they started the movie off. You probably wonder how I got here.
You probably wonder how I got here.
Like when he hit that ground, I was like, yo, is he okay? Because you know the second knockdown, he put his gloves down. You could see he was kind of like, that last joint, he was.
That last joint was. He was.
Somebody need to do a joint with Vince Carter, like it's over.
That joint. This is again a super case, but this is the thing though. Because America is scared of failure, right? And we treat failure like it's the worst thing in the world. This is why people like the Nate Robinson situation is the reason why we here in America will not take the leap, because we know that if we fail, people will blast it. They will make sure that you know that you failed.
Yeah, exactly.
And that creates those type of apprehensions where people be like, man, I really want to drop a record, but I don't want people making fun of me. And or you know what I'm saying?
Nah, definitely.
Or I really want to do it. And that is those type of things. So that's why, like, I give it up to Nate for taking the step. And even though it's funny.
Well, not even the aftermath of it.
Oh yeah, he
like the fact that I think that's the part of it. I think it really is the person, like the fact that Nate went in the ring, he fought, he got knocked out, and he ain't run from nothing afterwards.
No, when he tweeted, hey, yo, I just woke up. Who wanted to fight, boy?
Exactly. I think you have to be able to take things in stride, and you have to be able to fail, because then when the successes do happen, then you're able to look back and be like, yo, remember when Nate got knocked out, but now he done knocked out the next 5 people that he fought. Yes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that type of, in that type of regard, you know what I mean? Because I think even in the Jake Paul joint with the one blogger dude, I think he lost.
Yeah.
One of those, because I think they fought either twice or they fought 3 times. I know the one that I saw was the second fight.
Okay.
But yeah, so in those different types of things, but I definitely think it's a thing to where, like, hey, he stepped out there, it happened. So it's like, what else? There's nothing else I could do. I got knocked out.
Yeah.
And it's happened to the best of them. So I think that's why he probably can also take it in stride. Is like,
Mike got knocked. You ever see Mike stick his mouth?
I'm not a boxer. Yeah, like first off, I'm not a boxer, and I got knocked out. I've seen actual boxers get knocked out. It's happened. You know what I mean? So either you get up from that joint, or you complain about it and be like, nah, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's the thing. You have to be able to take it in stride. And I think like talking about taking in stride, like one of the things that also has been kind of like the talk of the town has been Kevin Hart's latest special.
Yeah.
Which was on Netflix. And I think it's called Zero F's Given, or Zero F's. It's something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think the big thing, so there's like certain statements I personally feel people should stay away from if you don't stand by. You know what I mean? Like we always say, like, man, we learn to like never say never, because you never know. And I think with when you call your special 0 F's given, that means once you put it out, if the whole world goes, this is the most hilarious thing in the world, you should be like, yeah, I'm working on the next thing. If the whole world says this is trash, it should be like, yeah, I'm working on the next thing. So there's this like app that's like in its beta stages called Clubhouse, and it's like these different rooms where people basically talk. It's like Twitter but with talking. And so somebody had created a room and was like, is Kevin Hart funny? Like, let's have a conversation about it. You know what I mean? So from what I've heard, like, so Kevin Hart entered the room on it. So he's just listening. He's not a moderator, or he's not talking or anything. He's just listening, and people are talking. And so people see he's in the room. So people start asking questions. Hey, Kev, so da-da-da, so this and that, yada, yada, yada. And so I guess he starts to talk and kind of not defending it, but it comes off as defending. It's like when you're like, well, if you don't like it, maybe you don't like this, or I'm not this person, and things like that. And what it ends up doing is, to me, it just ends up making it doesn't give a good look of, or give the confidence that you had confidence in what you put out. Yeah. Sometimes when like when we put out Black Gold, it was a thing of like, yo, we like how this was. Man, we put this out to the world. If the whole world loves it, great. If the whole world don't, man, we loved what we put out. So I don't have to take time out of my schedule
to defend it.
To defend it or convince you that why you should like it.
Just like, for instance, like whenever we have conversations about Black Gold, it's never about how other people like it. We always talk about it from the standpoint of, man, we made that technically for us. And if you happen to enjoy it, great. If you don't,
cool. Like, we working on something else. You might like that better. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's that type of thing. And in that, there's always that debate. I think at one point we talked about it in music a lot, of it being who's the best rapper, who's the greatest. And I think a lot of that has now came over to the comedy side of things, with there being a lot more specials, a lot more, you're seeing your favorite comedians a lot more than you have at one point. And I know the other day on Facebook, you had posed a question. About Dave Chappelle. Who is a person that I think the sentiments of what Kevin Hart is saying about 0 F's given is really how I feel Dave Chappelle approaches his comedy.
Which is crazy because like it feels that way, right?
Yeah.
But the words that come out of his mouth it's just kind of like Kevin, except for it's a more defensive part where Dave can seem more remorseful about what he has, the fact that I have to say it. Where Kevin is like, I said it. I don't understand why you guys don't understand that I said it. Where Dave is more like, look, I gotta say this.
And I said
I don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna do it. And so I want you to say the question that you had, because I wanted to word exactly how you worded that joint.
So how I posed it was, I was asking people, is Dave Chappelle a master comedian or a master communicator in the form of a comedian? Because the reason why I asked that is because after I watched the Unforgiven, I was like, was there really any jokes? There was no jokes in here. I was like, it was funny, but he engaged me in the storytelling.
And that's,
and engaged me in the what he was trying to accomplish with the stories. So at the end of it all, I was like, you know what? I'm not watching that. I feel you, Dave, and I respect you, and I'm not gonna watch the Chappelle show.
No, facts. I put that joint up right after. I was like, after I watched that joint, I was like, well, I won't be watching that joint. And I think for me, like when I saw the question, it was because like I remember I knew who Dave Chappelle was from seeing him in movies and stuff. Like I remember Robin Hood Men in Tights and stuff like that, like seeing his face. And I think the first comedy that I saw of his was Killing Them Softly. And I didn't even see it.
And that was brilliant.
I didn't even see it. I had it on CD.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yes.
You remember?
You played it for me while we drove to
New York.
Yep.
And I was like, yo, it's this joint. And I was like, yo, this joint is crazy. And like, this is what I think and so the comedy part, I think he's always had. The fact that I can listen, a lot of times you need to see the facial expressions. You need to see the actions of what's happening in order to like, oh, I can laugh at that because I saw it and I heard it.
Yeah.
And they work hand in hand. His ability to story tell.
Yeah.
So where he vividly paints the picture is great. So like when I had answered that question, it was like, I think he is a master comedian who has mastered the art of communication and storytelling, in the sense of like a lot of his earlier comedy was built around story.
It was just comedy.
It was storylines, but it was comedy. Like you knew like, okay, this story is leading to a punchline.
Yeah.
In his latter comedy, like now, it's more like story. Like even in that special that he did, the 20-minute joint, it's, man, I remember being 14 years old and like it's a story. So you're just following the story.
Yep.
And then you start to realize by the time you hear second story, you're like, oh, this is going somewhere. Oh, okay. This is going somewhere. And I'm not even so much caring about the jokes. I want to see where this is going. I want to see where the story is going.
And if I happen to get a joke,
cool. And so even when it's almost to the part to where, and I think the great ones could do this at points in their career. Like I think when you watch like Martin, the Jamie Foxx show, like when we watch those shows, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where they would do stuff that was like, and because there was a studio audience, they would do stuff that even though it wasn't like funny, like they weren't doing certain things to be funny, but you would hear the audience laugh.
Yeah.
And you would be at home like laughing like, he ain't even doing that for me to laugh. I don't know why that joke. So, and when I watch Chappelle, it's like you would hear the audience laugh sometimes. It's like, he's not even telling a joke. He's not even telling a joke.
I'm just being myself.
He's just being himself. And it's just the comedy part. I think he's mastered it so well that he doesn't have to try to be a comedian.
No.
It just is innately in him. So when he's communicating with us now in the form of a story, it just slips its way in there. Yeah. Like accidentally. Like it's like, oh man, how did I was just being real serious. He was just serious. Yeah. Dude just yoked him up. And you know what I'm saying? And then the next joint, he's like, I had $60, left in my account. You know what I mean? And I had a Dominican coming. And you're like,
all right.
And you're like, yo. And so it's like he says it and you laugh because it's just like how he said it. Yeah. But it's like nothing funny. It's not like that wasn't a punchline. That wasn't a punchline or nothing. And so it's like, I think he's just mastered it all. Like the full gambit. And so in comparison to like a Kevin Hart, for me, I feel that the part for me personally that I'm waiting for from Kevin Hart is the growth part. Yeah. Like to be able to see that next step. Like, man, I know you.
Well, I think the thing is like he can do the growth of everything else around the comedy.
But not
the actual act itself.
Yeah. And not the actual, I think, the person. Like I know more about, like in this last special, there were two things that I found very funny that I remembered. Him talking about when he was in the car accident and he had to have the hospital attendant actually like wipe him when he went to the bathroom and stuff. Yeah. That I found funny because I feel comedians do a great job of taking pain and finding humor in the pain. Yeah. So that was, to me, was like you gave us a glimpse in. Like, I know you. Oh, that's the Kevin Hart thing. Oh, I'm at the house. I don't really give a F. If my wife leave, I don't care where she going. Like, it don't matter to me. Like, go. I want to be at the house by myself. I go somewhere, she want to know the whole details. That, man, I can relate to that. That's what's up. I get that. So I found it funny more or less because I could relate. Whereas I felt that everything else was like very predictable. Yeah. Like those two things I couldn't have really predicted, but I knew there was going to be kids jokes. I knew he was going to talk about COVID. like I knew those things were gonna like be touched on, and I think what maybe me and most people are waiting for from Kevin Hart is just like that next.
Yeah, like give us something like, I think Cat is the best in between of a Dave Chappelle and a Kevin Hart.
Yes,
right. I'm going to
agree.
give you some of those stories about my children and da 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 da. But I'm going to talk about current events. Yep. I'm going to talk about the state of the world. I'm going to talk about things that personally, affected me.
And I'm gonna do it in the character.
Because
like Cat is
Kevin Hart.
Cat is a when he steps on stage.
I don't even know if he's a character anymore. I think he really believes the hype.
No, yeah, 1000%.
But like you said, he's a character.
Yeah, so whereas like Kevin, sometimes you go like, man, is this just character or is this Kevin? Like with Chappelle, you hear that sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh man, like you get that sometimes. But when I watched, was it Undeniable or
Unforgiven?
Unforgiven. When I watched that, it was like when you see him like that, you go, that's Dave. Like that's just he's just up now. He's not a character no more. It's just Dave. Like that's how he is. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I do feel Cat Williams is that in between where. If it happens to Cat won't talk about it. When he got knocked out by that boy and he told that story.
He's like, I've been knocked out.
Yeah, when he talked about that.
It's actually quite refreshing.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so you find there's that joy that you find in a Nate Robinson being able to almost poke fun at himself. Like, yo, I just woke up. Who want to fight?
Yeah,
it's that Cat Williams being able to say like, nah, stuff is gonna happen to me out in the world.
Yeah,
and guess what? I'm gonna stand right on this stage in front of everybody who's judging me, and I'm gonna talk about me before y'all can get to it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I think that because like I said, I don't think the special was whack.
No,
but Kevin Hart is, and it also shows to Kevin Hart's greatness is because. I'm not even comparing Kevin Hart to Dave. I'm comparing Kevin to Kevin.
Yeah. He's definitely in his own lane.
He's in his own lane.
Yeah, he's in his own lane. I just think that material-wise, there has to be an evolution. And I know what, and he said it before, that he's not really going to change a lot of it. He's never really going to get into politics. That's not his thing. Like, I understand all those things, but there has to come a time where your actual real kind of whoever you are can kind of
can show forward. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that's the biggest thing is just him finding that way, you have to be able to find new ways to talk about the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, even if you are going to address the same thing. Like, I've heard Dave talk about the same thing. Oh, he talked about that over there, but he did it in a...
different. Like, Dave talks about his kids and his wife and stuff like that. He talks about that stuff.
You know what I'm saying? D.L. Hughley does that. D.L. Hughley talks about his son and stuff like that, but they do it in a way to where, like, oh, man, I haven't heard it done that way.
Yeah.
So I think that's, kind of the biggest thing is just seeing him just continue to grow as we are trying to do here at UHRISE with the
man.
You know what I mean?
That's why we're doing these little tight little Zoom joints. Because like I said, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get at communicating your thoughts, the ideas and things that you're trying to complete. So again, we thank you guys, man, for tuning in. If you can, head to patreon.com/UHRISE if you want to join the university and help us propel ourselves into media stardom. I'm just like,
we made it.
But you can also go to UHRISEmusic.com, check out projects there. Icon Nation. Please check out those links. As you can see, we black and proud out here in these streets. Again, we thank y'all guys for tuning in.
YouTube,
subscribe. Also subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Yep. We got a lot of stuff going on that you can be a part of if you want to be a part.
On the UHRISE Facebook page, I'm gonna do a post on there just asking y'all what topics y'all would want to hear like on our Patreon, because then we can hop on our Patreon on days like this and just do kind of like little 30-minute quick hits.
Yeah,
on certain topics and things like that.
Little in-betweeners.
Yeah. Little fillers.
little fillers out this gym. So we thank y'all guys, man, for tuning in. I'm Sham Phoenix.
I'm Stitch Early.
And it's been the Stitch Sham Show. Peace.
Peace.